I am here today with Dr. Barbara Reynolds, and we are going to talk to Miss Barbara about her nursing career and everything that's led to in her life. Barbara, just for the record, what is your name and your hometown?
Barbara Reynolds. I was born in Fayetteville, New York, near Syracuse. Went to Syracuse University, and I have had a very interesting career. It's been 67 years that I've been in nursing, and I have been retired now for 20 years, although I'm still involved with the School of Nursing here at Tennessee Tech. But in terms of my career, I've taught in 5 universities, but when I started out, I was interested. I fainted when I went to the first surgery, and they were taking off somebody's legs. They were doing a bilateral amputation, and I fainted, and I went to my nursing instructor, and I said, "There's no way I can be a nurse," and I cried.
Oh.
and she said, "Well, yes, you probably can, don't worry, and it's hard. You weren't prepared for this to happen, and we didn't prepare you for that, and so we'll just do a better job next time." But I decided then that maybe being inside the hospital was not for me.
Yeah.
So I decided pretty much to do outpatient, public health. My interest was in psych mental health nursing and administration. And I guess one of the things that was a really important thing to me and showed the most change probably in nursing was when I was a student, I went to the Willard Asylum for mentally ill, and it was in New York State, and it was a terrible place. It was dark, there were bars on the windows, and I learned later that whenever a person at home was having a problem, the family would take them with their suitcase and leave them at this asylum, and they would never come back for them. And so we really never knew if some of these people were quite sane, but as students, we had keys on our belts and everything was locked up. And the only thing we knew how to do is put people in straitjackets, put them in hot water, warm water, and do electroshock therapy. And then that was pretty sad. There were no drugs. We didn't know what to do with these people. A lot were very violent. One woman, we had to hold down 6 of us to give her a bath. She struggled, so it was awful. And then in the 70s, I was in another psych unit for a while, and that's when the drugs began to come in. And we also were learning to do counseling, and my job was, I was taking a course at University of Minnesota on counseling. And there I was working with people, and then as soon as the chemicals came in, they discharged everybody. And then later on, they took people out of the mental hospitals that were there and put them into community health centers, but the government never funded the community health centers, so a lot of these people went out on the street. And now, I guess the change is that we have these drugs, we're doing some counseling, but it's very, very hard unless a person is suicidal or homicidal to get them into an institution. And so we have people on the street, people that are sick people, and we've not funded anyone, any organization to take over those people that need help. And that is that's one of the deficits, I think, in our whole health system, is we don't have care for people.
So you spent a lot of time with psychiatric nursing, is that right?
Right.
And then, so of course, the stigma surrounding that in this country, and I'm sure that is definitely one of the lows for you as far as your career in that field.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like is a high point for you in your career?
I think that I've had a really interesting career. I've done practically everything that a nurse does. I mean, I've done school health, clinic nursing. I've taught in 5 different universities. I've done public health in several different places. And I've done a lot with the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which is a personality test. And I've used that as a nurse, as a consultant in this state and other places. And that's been a high point, I think, because I've really helped people to understand themselves and to understand their interrelations with other folks. And my whole focus is much more and I value much more helping people to help themselves and to learn about themselves. And that's where I think we need to go. And it's just not, there's not much of that out there for people, I think.
Yeah, and the Myers-Briggs for me, it creates so much empathy for me because I can ascertain why someone is responding in the way that they are to a certain situation. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, because I worked in that field for 30 years.
Wow.
Every class I taught had to have the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
Faculty in every program I was in had to learn about their personality type. And so I think that was a high point. I did a lot with groups, with organization development, with conflict management, and a lot of those areas, which are all kind of connected.
Yeah.
And
now, how long have you been in Cookeville, Barbara?
Since 1991, when I came up here to be dean of the School of Nursing at Tennessee Tech.
Okay. And how long did you hold that position?
I was there for 8 years.
Wow.
7 years. I finished in 1998,
Okay.
and I've been retired since then.
Retired is has a different meaning for some people though than others. You stay very active. I see you. You're very community minded. I see you out in the community in a lot of different aspects, the arts and political things, and I see you in a lot of different arenas in town. But as far as nursing goes and Tennessee Tech, what is your role now?
My role now, I think, is mostly on helping with fundraising. I think the biggest change that's come about is the use of mannequins, which are almost human-like. Mm-hmm. And the simulation lab at Tech is just amazing. One of them costs $100,000. I mean, they cost a lot, but they can do almost anything. And we can cut down on the amount of time students spend in clinicals at the hospital because they have experience with these almost human-like mannequins where they can insert nasal gastro tubes, they can do catheterizations, they can do bloods, they can do so many things with that. And that's what I'm trying to help raise money for. That plus scholarships, plus we have an emergency fund too for students at the university. And so that's a part of what I do is to help raise money for that and involve people in that.
Those mannequins sound amazing. What a technological advancement. There's only so many times you're going to want to stick a human volunteer, but you can stick the mannequin
I
repeatedly.
think of all the people that I've stuck and that and we had to learn on oranges.
So what technological advancement. I mean, 67 years, you must have seen some really amazing advancements.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about was when I was a new graduate, we had polio, a lot of polio cases. I was in a hospital working that was a community, that was a communicable disease hospital. We had cases of measles where kids died. We had polio cases, and I worked with them in an iron lung, putting my hands through gloves to get to them. And one of the things that happened as we got the Salk vaccine was Walter Winchell, a reporter, told everybody, don't take it because it's causing you to have polio. And I think today, the people out there who are saying, don't get the measles shots because you'll get measles, they're injecting you with measles, that it's the same kind of thing again. We almost have done away with polio, except in a couple other countries. Measles is becoming an epidemic again, and part of it is because of the people that do not have a scientific background, do not understand they need to vaccinate their kids for measles. I mean, absolutely. That's terribly important right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Is there anything that you want to add? Is there anything that you want to say to people about nursing in the Upper Cumberland, TTU in particular? Is there anything you just really like to get across to the people that are coming to see this exhibit that we're putting together?
It's exciting to me that there are so many ways to go into nursing now. I mean, one can get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a doctorate, and there's so many things you can do with a nursing degree. I mean, it's been an extremely important piece of my life and everything that I do. So I would urge people to get as far as they want to in nursing, and that I think the horizons are open for folks that want to be nurse practitioners, who want to get out there and work with patients. There's going to be a huge need, And also it's important to be able to work with physicians around this and a team relationship. And I just think that the School of Nursing is important for this area. If we didn't have it here, I doubt we'd have a lot of students coming from the cities to work in this area. And so I think that people who've had nursing care can be very grateful to the School of Nursing that promotes nursing here in this area.
You know, we're so lucky to have the advantage of Tennessee Tech bringing those professionals right here to our homes. So
Right.
absolutely, I agree with you.
Right.
Thank you, Barbara, for coming in to talk to me today, and thank you for helping with this exhibit. We're very excited about it.
Well, thank you for having me too. Thank you.
Absolutely.